how is today's lesson relevant to you? Ways you can kind of show the relevance: experience. What have you done in the past that's related to this? When we talk about cardiovascular endurance, I'll say something like, do you remember in 11th grade biology when you learned about alveoli? Write down the word alveoli, the little air bubbles in the lungs. Oh yeah, I remember that. You know, or mitochondria. Remember the powerhouse of the cell? Oh yeah, that's something I learned before a long time ago. And so how can we relate that now to exercise? So try to bring their past information to it. What's the present worth? How's this going to make me better today? And then, how will it help me tomorrow? Modeling, y'all, there is so much information out there. If you look at learning, peer modeling, when kids are, of any age, see somebody who is near their own age or who looks like them or is like them, doing a behavior, modeling a behavior, they're more likely to want to model it too. The movie Jackass is a good example. We want to think of positive models as opposed to negative ones like that. So if you have any students who you feel are good, strong role models, ask them to come back to class and talk to the students about what they learn in your class or how it's helped them. And that really, they remember that. I saw a student the other day that I had in a freshman orientation class back in 1998. He's now going to med school to become a surgeon. But he said, I remember that boy you brought to our class that time who was talking to us about stuff on campus. And I'm thinking, wow, how weird. That's been such a long time ago. And he remembers this guest student I had to come into the class. Of all the things that I try to teach them, he remembers this one kid that came in and was interesting. So they remember kind of funny things like that. Give them a choice. This is hard for me, unless y'all maybe have some ideas you can help me with. But for my web enhanced classes, it's easy. But with the pure online classes, it's a little bit harder. But my web enhanced classes, I give them a choice between giving a final presentation that's 7 minutes long, or doing a final paper that's a minimum of 5 pages long. So if they want to get in front of the class, they have poster boards they can do PowerPoint, or they can write a paper. And they really appreciate having that control, I think. When I used to require a paper or require a presentation, I always got gripes. Oh, I hate to write, or I hate to get in front of a class. And I've had students go outside and go throw up because they're so afraid of speaking in front of people. So this gives them the opportunity to do what they enjoy most.
What are your percentages and which way does it look?
It's about half and half. Yeah. Some semesters I have more presentations and some semesters I have more papers. I never know. I guess I really can't predict that, but usually about half and half. And then again, relating this to real life situations, making it relevant. Here's an example I have for one of my online discussions. And we have a chapter about birth control and and sex and STDs and all that. And so I took it a step further and make it relevant. What happens to somebody who does get pregnant? What happens to them down the road? Trying to think outside the box, not just about the initial thing. And boy, there are some heated discussions on this. Some people are like, no, they shouldn't be allowed, and some are like, well, what happens if somebody can't drop their kids off and then they're beating their kids and they kill them? They can really get into this discussion online, so it gets a lot of them thinking. And how would I feel if I had a child I couldn't handle? And it really makes a difference. So getting a little bit of controversy is a way, but also making it more of a real life situation, so that it actually is happening in some states. And here's an example of how to use peer modeling in an online class. This is my most popular discussion. Normally, in a typical class, I'll have a total of about 100 to 120 posts. I usually have around 200 posts to this one. People really get into it. Here's how I lost weight, and here's how I learned, I kept myself exercising, and they'll help each other. And you see, hey, please help me, I'm trying to quit smoking, and oh, here's what I did. And they really are helpful. They really want to help each other. So the peer modeling, they learn from each other. If I'm just sitting here saying, well, you should do this, you're a teacher, what do you know? But from each other, they'll listen. Sometimes I have to go on there and say, okay, fasting for 2 weeks isn't a healthy thing, so maybe don't do that, although this person may have had some success. So I have to go back and read those to make sure they're not giving them unsafe advice. So that's the only caveat with that. But normally, this is pretty good. They have pretty good advice. They do a pretty good job with that, I think.